Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL Double Game Week 24 Deadline stream, and it's live. We're just under an hour away from the FPL Deadline this week. Get your FPL dilemmas into the chat. I'll get as many of you answered as I can. First come, first serve. Before you ask a question, though, please have a look at the information in the graphics. There is a good chance that your question is there and already answered. My team as this week, I've made one free transfer, and for the second consecutive week, I've made a transfer and left the player I bought on the bench. Last week it was Ben Mee. This week it is Ezri Konsa. I've bought Ezri Konsa for the stricken James Justin, and he's sitting second on my bench. I'm going Areola in goal, double game week over Sam Johnson. It's fairly straightforward. 3 double game week players at the back: John Stones, Ruben Diaz and Ben Mee. Midfield of Salah, Fernandes, Ademola Lookman with a double, Thomas Soucek, Ilkay Gundogan. Captain. Up front, Patrick Bamford and Mikel Antonio. Our belief is that Antonio will likely start for West Ham on Monday, so I'm taking the gamble on him. Also on the bench, first sub, Soufal. Nice cover for Antonio if he doesn't play. Konsa second sub, and I have left Dominic Calvert-Lewin as the third sub. I know what many of you are going to be saying. James, you always play the forward. And look, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin was playing, if his second game was Fulham, he'd definitely be in the team. I think there's a good chance it's a one-pointer. He's not going to play against Fulham. I see no reason why Carlo Ancelotti would try and string Fulham along. So he's doubtful very much for Manchester City. What kind of fitness state is he going to be in? The rest of the team looks very strong, so he is left out. I've also got the double Manchester City defence, so even a Calvert-Lewin goal wouldn't particularly be great for me in the second part of the double. So he's sitting third on the bench. I believe with every chance that that's going to be a one-pointer. Captaincy is bottom right on the screen. Those are my top 10 picks in order of preference. I believe the best captaincy choice this week is Raheem Sterling. Brilliant differential this week. Possibly up against Matt Doherty today. You saw Everton and Tottenham in midweek. They're not in a good state defensively. I think Sterling is worth the gamble this week. Ilkay Gundogan gets my pick. I prefer the City attacking guys over defensive guys this week, hence Phil Foden being third. I got Nick Pope in fourth. I think it's a reasonable shout. 1 clean sheet, and you're probably almost definitely looking at more than 10 points. There are a few single game week players in there, notably the United boys, Bruno Fernandes, Edison Cavani, Marcus Rashford. That would be my order of preference on those 3. On the left-hand side of the screen, you will see the kickoff times and my correct score predictions for all 12 fixtures in this game week. The grey ticker right at the bottom has each team's next 5 fixtures. The ones in blue represent double game weeks. Obviously, we haven't put unconfirmed game week 27 fixtures in there as yet, so be aware of that. And of course, there's the benching dilemmas. 5 pages worth of benching dilemmas, working from page 1 to page 5, from my top preference of the headaches, Mikel Antonio, down to my least favourite preference, Max Kilman, and then the goalkeepers. If you've got a benching dilemma question, please have a look at that graphic. There is a good chance that your question is answered there. Replace people like Harry Maguire with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you're going to get the same answer, generally speaking. Thanks as ever to FPL Captain on the graphics. You can see his Twitter handle above the singular live graphic towards the bottom right. Give him a follow on Twitter. He's an absolute superstar. Right, let's get into the questions over the next 50 minutes or so. Edwin Guan is up first. Hello, James. Happy Lunar New Year, everybody. Dallas or Target or Konsa? Well, I'm pretty sure you know where to find the answer, Edwin. Alfredo, should I just do that now? I'll run through the benching dilemmas. So, Antonio over Bamford, Bamford over Son, Son over Soucek, Soucek over Rafinha, Rafinha over Cresswell, Cresswell over Robertson, Robertson over Maguire, Maguire over Soufal, Soufal over Harvey Barnes, Harvey Barnes over Calvert-Lewin, Calvert-Lewin over Bednarek, Bednarek over Chilwell, Chilwell over Target, Target over Dallas, Dallas over Mitchell, Mitchell over Kilman. The one anomaly you might find there is the fact that I've obviously got Target behind Calvert-Lewin. It's a decision that I've made with my bench second and third. I really don't think it's going to matter because the only one of my starting 11 I can see missing out potentially is Mikel Antonio, and Soufal covers it. So from that point of view, it's almost regardless. So if anybody's got a benching headache dilemma, yeah, go back to minute 4 of the stream. There you go, great. Alfredo Demetrius, is captain and Nick Pope a high risk, high reward thing? High risk, yes. It's also quite safe because I think the worst case scenario for Nick Pope is probably 5 points. So you're going to get something out of it. You feel like a shitty assist, basically. There is potentially high reward. 2 clean sheets for Nick Pope, and there's every chance he's hitting 20 points. Every chance, and 11 and a 9 he's quite capable of. Joe Gifford says, hi James, love the pod. Bring in a defender under 5.5 that will cover me for as many games as possible until 29. Bench this week already have triple Villa. What team and what player would you pick? Good question. So you're looking to bring in a defender under 5.5 that will cover for as many games as possible until 29. Bench this week already have triple Villa. Do you need that player in 29? And the answer might be Stuart Dallas if you're not already on. I know it's not going to necessarily help you with 26, but he wouldn't be the worst single game week player to play in 26. If you're already, I would say Villa, but you're already covered with Villa. Unless you want to double up, go with Target and Conser or something like that, then I guess Stuart Dallas is the sensible answer for the moment. Sam Howard says currently on triple City defence with 1 free transfer. Is Stones and Lookman out for Conser and Gundogan worth it? Feels forced, but I really want City attack and would captain. Would lose Lookman's double also. No, it sounds like a little bit of a desperation, Sam, to get Gundogan. And remember, City's centre-backs historically do extremely well in double game weeks. I wouldn't move. And that goes for everybody on any City assets looking to move. Unless you're really unhappy with a Jesus or a Mahrez or something like that. If generally you quite like the asset, and I think John Stones is very reasonable at his price, etc., I'd just keep him. Just go with the guys you got. The City guys I got was for this. To know that spine of the team, Diaz, Stones, Gundogan, there's every chance that over these likely 3 double game weeks, I could get 6 fixtures out of them. So the weeks where I was looking at it going, oh, Cancelo, I wish I'd rather have Cancelo. I'll be honest with you, in the team I predicted for my advanced tiers last night on Patreon, Cancelo is not in the predicted Manchester City team in my opinion. I've taken the opinion on it that Guardiola will want to play Kyle Walker, like he did when the teams met before, because of the over-the-top threat of Son. And I was thinking about that more, and I thought, well, Spurs will just swap Son to the right. And I was thinking about it, and I reckon there's a possibility Ben Mendy plays for Manchester City today. And that's why Cancelo, if you're wondering, doesn't appear on the top 10 captaincy picks. Because I think there's a good chance he misses out today. It's just a theory. I could have that completely wrong. But I don't think it's worth moving, Sam. Lewis C. Hi, James. Thoughts on triple captain Pope to try and make some ground on template teams in my mini leagues. Do have wildcard 2 to play. Good luck this game week. And to you, Lewis, has just covered for someone else's question. The one and only Lee. Favourite differential triple captain, so not Kane or Son. Thanks, boss. I mean, well, then you ain't going to captain Kane or Son this week, are you? Raheem Sterling. You don't need to think bigger or differently than that for this week. Victor Sandberg, hey James, love your latest pod. Top work. Do you think it is necessary to double up with Son and Kane for game week 26? That will decide if I go Johnson to Pope or Areola to Meslier. One other piece of advice I give this week: if you've got 1 free transfer, roll. As long as you've got 3 Manchester City players and you've got 2 free transfers, 1 free transfer, I'd roll this week. So much information to learn next week. For those who are thinking of wild card in this game week, I wish you the very best of luck. Generally, this is the only time I will say this all season. Don't activate that wildcard today. I'd wait till late in the week. Fuck the price rises and all that. The information is far more important. So that's the real advice, Victor, is if you only got 1 free transfer, roll. I'm going to have Kane for 26 as part of my plan. To get Son, I have to sell Bruno or Salah, basically. And I'm going to leave that to a last-minute decision for 26. Ideally, you want him, is what I would say. TJ Dara, morning James, no questions yet, but good luck, thanks pal. James Nelson, unbelievable pod yesterday guys, thank you. Roll transfer or Barnes in for Antonio for 2 weeks before Kane in at 26, good luck James. As long as your bench is okay, James, I'd roll. And as said at the top, we think that Antonio will probably play on Monday night. That's our belief. We'll probably get that wrong. Listen, the belief last week was stick the armband on him. So ignore what I'm saying. We think he'll probably play. So no, I wouldn't make that move. Again, rolling is a good idea. For those who haven't listened to the Chip Strategy podcast from yesterday, called Strategy and Chips, season 4, episode 31, and you're in a dilemma about what to do with your strategy, my honest advice is leave this stream and start watching that podcast. That's my advice to you. Matt Derbyshire said 2 free transfers, Wilson and Dominic Calvert-Lewin to Ings and Adams. The move in Wilson is obvious. What I would do with that, Matt, with 2 FTs is I would move Wilson. If you can get to Ings, do that. And I'd leave the other one. Just leave it. As long as you've got a bench, pal. Because you might find, if you're planning towards 26, you might find you really want Dominic Calvert-Lewin. If you're wildcarding next game week, then potentially yes. But then I'd possibly prefer Watkins over Adams if you haven't got that. Therese Keefe says, hey James, DCL to Kane this week or next? Depends on your bench, right? Because the reality is Kane's probably a 2-pointer and DCL is also probably a 2-pointer. 2 or 1-pointer, I think, DCL. I wouldn't be surprised if Kane got booked today, by the way, trying to stop a counter-attack, and it's also a 1-pointer. Harry can score in any game, and if you've got him, I would still start him, by the way. Same applies to Son. In most of the circumstances, I would advise to start him in the majority of cases. But I have put him in the bench in dilemmas this week. I don't think you want to do it now. It just doesn't feel right. Again, if you've got 1 free transfer, roll. The Emerald Pilot, morning James, I need 1 Burnley defender, McCarthy to Pope, I have Martinez, or Mitchell to me, Tarkowski, Lowton, question as a punt for -4, DCL to Cavani or Ings. Me and Tarkowski is so little in it. Tarkowski hasn't scored yet this season, but it makes me think he's due. But there's so little in it in terms of their qualities, just buy the cheaper one, me. That's kind of what I've done with Konsa over Target. Although my thinking on Konsa was partly, I'm only probably going to play him in game week 26 and game week 29. Game week 29, he'll be like 10th or 11th man, basically. He's just a 2-pointer that'll do if he gets a clean sheet bonus. But I want a Villa player to play in 26, and the double is Leeds, and I think possibly Everton. If not, then possibly Sheffield United. And they're all shit at defending corners. That's where my kind of final decision on Konsa over Target came from. Plus, again, a little bit cheaper. So I think Ben Mee for you, Emerald Pilot. In terms of a -4 punt, Cavani or Ings, the honest answer is, if I knew with certainty that Ings would play 26, I would say Ings. And again, it depends on your strategy. It's not an easy answer. But the immediate gain on that you'll feel like you probably want if you're moving from Calvert-Lewin, who you may want in 26, my answer is Cavani. Rowan S says, greeting James, start Soufal or Rudiger. I would go with Rudiger. In fairness, is not on the bench in dilemmas, and I think that's quite a close one. I've left Chilwell further down the bench in dilemmas because of the uncertainty on a start, right? Rudiger and Soufal. I think because Thiago Silva's just missing, I would just go Soufal. Just. The thing is as well, if Rudiger keeps a clean sheet and Soufal doesn't, that's going to hurt less than the other way around as well. I'd go Soufal. Bat Acer says start Robertson or Lingard. That's quite a good one. I think I'd go Lingard. Fucking hell, have I just said that out loud on one of my streams? Lingard over Robertson. I think there's Liverpool get beat today. Leicester's injury situation in the left back position is potentially good news for Mohamed Salah, and is the only thing that essentially has really got me much doubt on it. I do think Leicester will win today. Downstairs, morning James. I've got Justin and DCL to Lowton and Cavani this week. No hits. Already have Fernandes and Triple City. No question from me. Just want to say thank you as ever. Best of luck. Thank you, Dan. JC, hi James. Great chip strategy pod. Everyone going Richie or Cavani. I'm thinking of going Werner for a 1-week punt. What do you think? Honestly, if I was buying one of those three players now, for a 1 week punt, I would buy Richarlison. Because of the double, and he could go off against Fulham, and he's almost definitely going to be playing up front. Then Cavani. Timo Werner would not be on my brain, to be honest. It's not for me. If it's for you, fine, but it's not for me. FPL Dougal, hey James, I need to make ground on my mini league lead, and Cavani is my only real differential. Who can you recommend for the next 2 game weeks? Southampton's differentials, Danny Ings, you're getting a decent fixture this week. Next week, Rafinha, obviously, as part of a bench boost in game week 25. So Southampton Leeds, if it's just a 2 weeks deal, Southampton Leeds are your targets probably. Tag says Grealish or Soufal. Manchester United being another. So I mean, Rashford's not highly owned, if you can make that move, Dougal. Tag says Grealish or Soufal. That'll be Grealish for me, mate. Roseanne Fleur, I have Jack Grealish. Is buying Ollie Watkins then isn't too much a template, or should I buy Daddy Ings instead? Daddy Ings. Depends on your strategy, Roseanne. These questions are not easy for me to answer. So do you want another double for 25? Is 26 important to you? In which case I have to advise probably to buy Watkins first and then look at Ings again in midweek. It's awkward. I think Southampton's chance for a double in 26 are probably 60%. More likely than less likely, but I can't be more confident than that. It's the exact number I used on the podcast yesterday. Craig Gardner says -8 for TAA and Souček out for Wan Biscuit and Gundogan. Nah, I mean, if you want to go Souček to Gundogan for part of a -4, I would not be forcing TAA to Wan Biscuit. And I would only consider, if you need to make the other move to force Gundogan in, i.e. because you don't have the money in the bank, then possibly yes, if you're going to captain Gundogan, but I don't necessarily think you'll make up the returns on that immediately. It's something that will probably come further down the line. R2 Carroll says, morning James, captaincy on Pope and locked in, good luck. Joe Finley Badder, one of my spanners, is in, good morning mate. Jay Lodge, thoughts on Zaha and Dominic Calvert-Lewin to Ings and Gundogan or Foden? Thanks mate. I can't argue that too much, to be honest. Can't argue that. Blue McCaldera, can Sheffield United upset West Ham with Hammer's defensive injury worries? Yes, of course they can. Sheffield United have been much more like what we saw of them last season, in the last month or so. Can they? Yes. Will they? Probably not. Zedeslav says, is it worth taking a hit? Morris to Sterling on wildcarding next week. Yes, if you want to put the armband on Sterling. But you know what it's like with Riyad Mahrez. If he's on the pitch, he can go off. I don't have Mahrez in my predicted Man City team today. Shane Mibb, I have no City attack or midfield. Should I sell Salah to get Sterling, Foden, Gundogan and captain him? Yes. Honestly. The only reason I'd say no to that is if you're already on the triple City defensive, and I say, okay, crack on. Rishi Patel, thinking of playing 5-man defence of Soufal, Mead, Diaz, Stones, Shaw or Lowton, and play only 2 or 3 from Bamford, Watkins, Antonio. So, I mean, in that case, I'd be leaving the Soufal out. I mean, look, I've got Bamford and Antonio in my team over Soufal. I'd be doing the same if it was Watkins. I spoke last week about possibly leaving Patrick Bamford out this week because of benching dilemma. The more I thought about it, I was like, no. Calvert-Lewin's a rare case where I think I probably am looking at a 1-pointer, 2-pointer from him. So I've left him out. No, I would go with the forwards. That's nearly always going to be my answer. The one and only Lee says, thoughts on imminent KDB return. How will it affect Gundogan on your decision making? It won't. Probably not. I think Gundogan's the best choice for me personally this week. 26 I'm likely to go with Kane, captaincy. 27 is far enough away for me not to worry about it too much. But in terms of the impact on Gundogan personally, it's probably not. I because of what I want to do with the money I have available, and I now have even more money in the bank this week. I've got about 7.8 million now. But I know where I want to go path-wise. It's just waiting on confirmation, hopefully, of the Southampton double now. If not, then I'm taking different routes. Which I kind of have the cover for because it will be Fulham instead, and I have Areola and Lookman, so it just means changing my plans somewhat. No, I would be happy to just continue with Gundogan. I think you get the nod over Bernardo Silva, generally speaking, as it stands. It could even be that KDB's return would be even better for him, possibly. Miller Marsh, yo James, great pod yesterday. Thanks. Like suggestion for a change to the game. What change, if any, would you like to see? That's more of a podcast question. I appreciate the question, but nothing really. I'd like everybody to be nice to each other more. Not to be salty about people's good point score and shit like that. It's just a game. Let's try and remember that. Irish Maverick says, took out DCL and Salah for Kane and Sterling. Captain Sterling. False. Sounds like you've already decided, my friend. I think it's fine. HeyQ says, should I do James Justin to Yannick Vestergaard? I think that's a reasonable choice. But again, if you've got one free transfer, I would leave that decision for a week. I don't think there's a desperation to be getting Yannick Vestergaard into your squad, personally. And if you're heading towards 26 and that double doesn't happen, you're going to regret it. Garang says bench Son or Antonio or Watkins. To be honest with you, from those three, reluctantly, I will say Son. But that's not ideal. Miller Marsh, long-term thinking alongside Kane, Ings or DCL. It's possibly both for me, by the way. It depends on that Southampton double and if it happens or not. I think the longer-term thinking, I'd still edge DCL. Pushkar says, I'm using my wildcard in 25 and bench push 26. Want to move out DCL for any 1 week forward punt. Money, no issue. I'm considering Vernon Cavani. Suggest Cavani. Stian Busdale says, right, seeing as DCL is out, would you go to Kane now for the single just to get it over with? Would then play him over Souček, by the way. Say yes, and that's done. No. No, my friend. And TJ, hi James, hope you're well. Do you think it's definitely a bench boost if I have Johnson, Salah, Son, Bamford on the bench? The rest of the team are double game weekers and Man United players. Thanks, James. Yes, it is. But I want you to take a hit for Nick Pope or Areola. And then, yes. I want bench boost with Sam Johnson home to Man United. Sheila says bench one of Souček, Soufal or Son. They're all on the bench in dilemmas, Sheila. Pushkar, who to bench, Harvey Barnes or Souček? Pushkar, those two players on the bench in dilemmas. Name Stevens, hi James, is Morris to Foden too much of a sideways move? It is, but it's possibly the right move. Craig Fleming, you have similar issue, I see. I need to start 2 from 4. Son, Bamford, Mitchell, DCL. What do you think? Craig, they're all on the bench in dilemmas. Momo says, Souček to Lookman, worth it? In my opinion, no. I to be honest with you, I think Ademola Lookman 3 points this week. That's my expectation from him. A start, nothing, and a substitute appearance. But it's potentially more. I don't think that's worth it, personally. I wouldn't be buying a Fulham player now, other than that kind of situation where you can't get to Nick Pope for whatever reason and you want a double game week goalkeeper. Areola, fine. Areola also obviously potentially covers game week 29 further down the line. Pup says, hey James, do you think Soufal to Loughton is worth a -4? Extra tempting because I'm bench boosting game week 26. Probably not. I anticipate a clean sheet for West Ham today. So for it to be worth the -4, you need bonus points for Loughton to go with a clean sheet. So not for me. You got any doubt on a Burnley clean sheet? And the answer's no. The MH, every week I see your number one captain, but you never have him. To be honest, that has been the case recently. But it's not normally the case. But yes, I would say very confidently that Patrick Bamford will probably be at the top of my list next week. And I've got him. And the week after will be Harry Kane. And I'll have him. It's not worth going Gundogan to Sterling for me. It's just not worth it. It's going to cut me off all the other moves that I want to make. So that's why. But generally, if I had Sterling, he'd be my captain this week. Christian says, should I do Zaha and Maddison to Dwight McNeil and Taki Minamino? Dwight McNeil I would not consider. Taki Minamino I would consider buying in midweek. If Southampton have 3 doubles in a row. Generally, I wouldn't do shit with that now. Just leave Zaha on the bench and play Maddison. John O'Sullivan says, hi James, what do you think of Decore for the next few weeks? Always starts, potentially a lot of fixtures, maybe more attacking than his points suggest. Yes, but I'd probably want that as the 5th midfielder. And I feel like he's a bit too pricey for that, personally. You've got so many other good options at that price range. He wouldn't be near the top of that. Not for me, no. If you've got Gundogan, Rafinha, then possibly a consideration. I couldn't have him either over them two. Owen Wilson says Robertson or Barnes, James. As in to start, I would still go Robertson. That's on the bench in dilemma. FPL Twiggy, Richarlison for Grealish. Transfer back before game week 29. Would not be removing any Aston Villa players under any circumstances at this moment. No. Also, isn't one a forward and one a midfielder, Twiggy? Optimus Prime. Hey boss, use Rudiger or Bamford. You gonna say if you know me, I always say use attack player. So I have already my answer. Nice. Phil Plum. Hi James, -4 to do Johnson to Pope, free City, but DCL on bench, wildcard in 25 and bench boost 26. Thanks. Yep, thumbs up on that, Phil. FPL Warrior Morning James, great pod on chips this week. Chip question, current plan is wildcard 25, bench boost 26. Is that a bit risky as I have no free hit to deal with blank game with 29, 33? It's not a risk for 29, you should be able to manage that. 33 is going to be manageable for me via that second wildcard in terms of how I'd set up my team if 33 is likely to be a problem. And obviously if I get to that point and I go, fucking hell, I really don't want any Spurs players, then it's not going to be a problem at all. It probably means not going with treble Man City from that second wildcard if you do it after blank game with 29. We recommend probably 31 rather than 30, having had a closer look at the fixtures yesterday. You just have to balance where you're at. That's it. You can't cover everything. And that 33 problem, listen, most people ain't going to see it, right? Most people ain't going to see that 33 problem until they get close to it. What no graphics? Hello James, have DCL and transferring out. Is a 1 week punt on Cavani a good shout? I bet loads of people just went, what 33 problem, James? I recommend yesterday's chip podcast. That's not going to affect your decision now. For that, listen to it afterwards. What no graphics says, have DCL and transferring out. Is a 1 week punt on Cavani a good shout? Or get Kane in now as I want him anyway? Depends on strategy. If you're playing towards D26, I wouldn't sell DCL. If it's a 1 week punt and you're not concerned about later, then yeah, it's Cavani. Cole JB, hi James, posted this on Slack earlier. In Sky, am I leaving myself too light having only 4 players in 29? You're not, Cole, and you're going to buy some more players for then anyway. At the moment, my Sky team has 1 player in Sky who's available in 29, and that's Patrick Bamford. But there's a course where I might be getting Lewis Dunk to that. I might be getting Antonio to that. I might be getting Harry Kane to that. I might be getting an Arsenal player to that. And I'm probably slamming into Aston Villa. So don't worry about it. The opportunities will come. Trust me. That's fine, Cole. Charlie Francis, graphics are unreal. That's our man, FPL captain on the graphics. He's a superstar. Thank you, Charlie. Nigel Sam, hey James, do you think Lookman Richarlison is worth a -4 to play over Soufal? Will be wildcard next week, so will only be a 1 week move. Thanks. No, I don't think Lookman's worth it, mate. Stephen DeVelta, start Areola over Martinez, the GOAT. Listen, I would. And listen, if you bench Martinez points, he keeps a clean sheet, which is of course a possibility in a fixture like they have today at Brighton. He's going to hurt a little bit. But Areola, Everton away with no Calvert-Lewin, and Burnley could be great. I'm predicting a 0-0 for Burnley, Fulham in midweek. So I think there's points there. Areola for me. Jonathan Sunil Moses, Barnes, you reckon we'll get more than 8 points this game week? I feel like you're asking about Ashley Barnes, Jonathan, rather than Harvey Barnes. But either way, the answer to both would be no. Ola Stamos, hello James. Soufal, San Antonio. Benching dilemmas, please, Ola. Optimus Prime, your opinion about Shaw. Man, you have amazing fixtures. Game week 24, 25 double and 26. At game week 28 and 30, and this player is on amazing form. Optimus, I recommend Tuesday's Clash of the Correspondents with Is My Cat playing. That will clarify your decision. I would jump off this stream and watch that instead. Maybe at a slightly faster speed. You have to get past Gemma's rant in the first 10 minutes. Gemmarino, Gemma Baggies. FPL is amazing strategy pod, James. I'm bench boosting in double game week 26. Do you think Sterling is the highest upside triple captain in the coming double game week? Cheers, mate. The answer to that question is yes. I think the best triple captain in the next period is probably Harry Kane in 26. If Tottenham have the Southampton double, to be honest, if it's Fulham, it's still going to look very attractive. But in terms of upside, yes, Raheem Sterling, and it's now, this week, in my opinion. Raheem Sterling against Matt Doherty today could be... I don't really want to think about it. JM543, hi James, I've got an unusual combination of chips left. I've only used bench boost so far. That's okay. That's in Suj's position. Planning on triple captain in 26. Wildcard in 31 with carrying through 29. Should I free hit in 32 or 29? Don't fix yourself to a decision on that till at least you know the fixtures for 26. That's going to influence your planning for 29. But it might be possibly even what we said yesterday about 33 is a possibility. Andy G, the Golf Pro, if you have 12-ish player already, probably doubling in 26, would you say wildcard for later, only bench boost left? Cheers. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Get to that 15, mate, or at least 14. Jonathan Aves, hi James, hope you're well. Is there a case to use free transfers to bench boost in 26 and wildcard in 27? I have already 12 double game weekers. Cheers. Probably. Well, the only reason that would be a yes is if you have very little Aston Villa and Tottenham coverage in 26. If you have quite a bit of Villa Tottenham coverage, then honestly I would wildcard in game week 31. Shamil Galani, hey pal, question for my draft team. I need to bench 2 of Greenwood or Aubameyang, Watkins. What's your preference? I would play Watkins, mate. Enough doubt on the other 2 starting. It's simple as that, to be honest. Shamil NJ says, hi James. What do you think of triple captain Sterling? Just covered. Softcore Zeg, hello James. I have 5 free transfers, but I only want to use 3 this game week. Who would be top 3 to target? Softcore Zeg, I don't really know what game you're playing, mate. How have you got 3 free transfers? That's you got Suj's magic problem solving to the game. 25 minutes to deadline, I'll make it, by the way, guys. I can't answer that, mate. FPL Alex says, Souček or Bam Bam? Bam Bam, mate. Javier Alcantara, why everyone is mad about Ben Mee making his price rise and forgetting about Tarkowski? What if Tarkowski scored a heady goal instead of me? Saucy. I ain't seen anyone being saucy. But then, to be honest, I've been way too busy to look at Twitter over the last couple of days. Shifo says, should I play 5 defenders, which includes double City, double Burnley and Rudiger, and bench Son, Barnes and DCL? No, I would play Son over Rudiger. Personally. Meninda says, Sky question, is it worth starting with Pope before going to Ederson? Got 23 transfers. The answer to that, Meninda, is no. Because you've got gain on Ederson fixtures to start with. That's why main reason why I'm not starting with Nick Pope. There's no way I'm going to captain him in the short term. Jack Wilson, why no Cancelo cap in the top 10? I explained that quite near the start. Jack, I think there's a probability that he's left out today. It's City tactically versus Son. And I think Guardiola wants to force Son out to the right, which I think possibly puts him up against Mendy. Genuinely, I think there's a possibility Ben Mendy plays today. Kyle Walker right back, and I think to counter that, Spurs are going to end up playing Son at centre forward anyway. And it might just force City to be a little bit deeper. But they'll make the pitch big, and it won't matter. It won't matter. So that's the reasoning. That's the reasoning that I think there's a good chance he doesn't play twice. And because and it's only my opinion, if I didn't have that opinion, Cancelo would probably be 4th on this list. But that is my opinion. And therefore, I don't think I should put him on that list. I would still have him just underneath Stones and Diaz. To be honest, he's probably the 11th man. And it's a theory I've got. And it could be completely wrong. And I don't want to scare anyone. If you believe I'm wrong and want to captain Cancelo, go ahead, obviously. It's just an opinion I have on what City may try and do today. For the next, should I take a hit for Fulham defender, Justin out, worried as a Taylor Antonio, maybe be out and not having any bench? it would rather in that case just take a hit for a Burnley defender. But no, probably not. If you were to do one, probably Anthony Robinson. Tesla says, thoughts on Eric Peters? Bang average footballer, mate. Charlie Taylor could replace him at any time. If you're asking me to buy him, no. Nice, thanks Bronx Beats for that comment. Edwin Guan, why did you transfer Conser in? Explain that quite near the start. It's forward thinking, my friend. FPL Alex says, James, you didn't do Suchet or Bam Bam. Is responding to some. You responded to me or was responding to someone else? Didn't do Suchet or Bam Bam. I don't understand. There's a benching dilemma screen for the person whose name is not in English. Jason Burnin, who do I start? Shaw or Suchek? Replace Maguire with Shaw on the benching dilemma. That'll give you your answer. Gerald, Senna, Werner or Vardy? Genuinely, I would buy Vardy of the two. Honestly. But then I'm heading towards 26. But if I was buying one, I'd buy Vardy. Honestly. Callum Mates, Superman. Currently ranked about 250th in the world. Says, hey James, which double game week teams between 24 26 you have the biggest risk of being a trap? Well, Southampton, because we can't see the fixtures. So possibly them and the fixtures, in spite of it possibly being 3 in a row, are still difficult. So I'd say Saints. Jamie Lamin, hi mate, is McCarthy, Sufel, Anguissa and Bamford worth a bench boost? Possibly next week, mate. But then I'd move Anguissa on if you can. FPL Alex, Captain Ashley Barnes. Yeah, do it, mate. Best decision of the week. Listen, there is no Burnley attacker that interests me. None. Literally no Burnley attacker interests me. In spite of the 2 fixtures, Barnes could easily get dropped for Chris Wood. Same applies to Matija Vidra. Dwight McNeil, just listen, he could go off. But how often does it happen? It really doesn't. Holly Lowe says, hi James, reckon I can get to 11-12 double game week players in 26 without using my wild card. I can then save it for 30/31. Bench boost team could be improved with wildcard 25, but think it's worthwhile saving if possible. Yep, sounds like you probably got one free transfer, Holly, so the recommendation is to roll. And listen, you can bench boost with some single game week players. That's fine. So have a second look. I would do it after deadline now, of which teams have good single fixtures in 26. Roll the transfer this week. Gain the information on fixtures before you make any moves. That would be the advice. Luke Tanner says, hey James, I'm in a money league with Suj and I'm currently well above him. Can you tell him to up his game and start trying? Listen, Suj was doing great till he forgot to press fucking activate free hit in game week 18. But it means he's landed in a potentially more powerful position to come because he's still got that chip. I do tell him generally, but you know what he's like. He's a bit sloppy. John O'Sullivan says, sell Salah next week for Minamino, Rafinha, or sell now for Rashford. Take a -4 if I need Kane in 26. Next week, rolling, John. Rolling. Steve Martin Jones, I've free hit. I've put Richarlison up top. One more player. I have a solution if you're on the free hit this game week, John, and that is go with the 2 up front and pick another defender. No jokes. Pick another defender. Go 4-4-2, go 5-3-2, whatever. Pick another defender. Stephen Martin Jones, I've free hit. I've put Richarlison up top, one more. That's the one I just did. Sorry, that's to Stephen, obviously, that previous response. In famous BVZ, do you think adjusting to Dean is worth it? It's a reasonable move. If it's a free transfer, I don't think I'd bother for a hit, personally. I just don't think it's worth it. To the spammers who are deleting people's messages, thanks very much, guys. For the ones who are in there who've got like multiple questions repeat over and over again, don't delete their messages. Literally, just throw them out. They ain't coming back next week. Just hide them from the channel. Piss them off. Luke Tanner, hey James, give people a chance. If you've only done it twice, fair enough. But there's one guy there who's done it like 5 times in a row. Just get him out. Just get rid of him. Thanks, guys. Luke Tanner, hey James, I'm in a mutter. That's the one we just did. FPL telling Josh, morning James, good luck with the game week, no question. How do you see the Spurs City game going? Will Jose just park the bus? So as I said, I think there's a chance Walker and Mendy could be fullbacks for City today. Otherwise, I expect them to be kind of full strength. I think probably Foden right, Sterling left. I think Jesus probably through the middle. I think Sterling left to get out Doherty. Oh, fucking hell. I think to counter it, I think Spurs might play 4-4-1 today. And I think that means Lamella and Bergwijn probably in the wide players playing very defensive roles. And I think Son might play through the middle ahead of Kane. I think that might be what Spurs do. So I think that there could be some things in that game today that are tactically quite surprising. Personally, I can't see any result other than Manchester City winning comfortably. And depending on how bad that tactical setup is, City could go off. But I think 2-0 was a reasonable prediction. I would be surprised if City don't win by at least 2 goals. Harvey Rudd, says thoughts best to bring in on a wild card. I've got Cavani at the moment. Sorry, Harvey, I don't understand the question. I don't know what ST is. Jassim Jazz bench 1 of Antonio, Watkins, Grealish. With reluctance, Jassim, it would be Grealish. Peter Crawley, Sky question. I've gone 7 City. Is it too much ignoring Brighton and Chelsea single game days? Peter, I've got 7. I have not ignored the Chelsea single game day. My structured plan currently is Rudiger to Lewis Dunk to cover that Brighton single game day. I will talk more about Sky after 11 o'clock if people want me to. Pete Haley, I don't think it's up there, but who to play, Conser, Dallas or Soufal? Replace Conser with Target, Pete, and you'll find your answer. Sabisi 1, bench Son. It's going to be play Soufal, isn't it? Let's be honest. Sabisi 1, bench Son or Souček or Soufal. Sabisi, on the benching dilemma. Come on, my friend, you're in here regularly. You know how this works. Gerald says Werner Avadi. I've already answered that one for someone else. Ahmed Musa, hi James, Dallas or Carl Walker-Peters. In terms of playing, I play Carl Walker-Peters personally. I'm predicting a clean sheet potentially for Southampton. That's the other thing that might help with your decision making if you don't get your question answered. And there's little point putting another question in the chat now because I will not get to you. I've got no chance. My predictions for all the game weeks are on the screen. So I'm predicting a clean sheet for Southampton. So that kind of answers the question. MD Medi says, hi James, Richarlison, Foden, Gundogan, captain whom? Good luck, my friend. Bottom right hand corner on the screen is a good clue. Nush, can you tell my dad to stop watching? Dad, turn this shit off. Owen Kinnear, what's with all the boring FPL chat? Good luck for Sky, mate, where it matters. We'll get there, Owen. Jason Yoroff, morning James, play Son or Watkins. Benching dilemma, my friend. Watkins isn't there. I'll let you off. I would play Watkins. To be honest, I hadn't put Watkins on there because I just assumed for everybody that he plays. There you go. That should sum it up. Chirag says, Justin replacements. I have Pope. Manchester City if you don't have any. Don't be frightened of double Burnley defence. If you've got one free transfer, roll the transfer. Kartik says, Antonio to Watkins or Cavani. Watkins for me. May not get the immediate, but I think a better transfer. Jack C, bench Son for a Burnley defender. There is a case for that. I haven't got any Burnley players on defensive players on the benching dilemmas because I just assume if you've got one, they're playing. You haven't got a Burnley defender in your squad and not playing them in the double game week against Crystal Palace and Fulham. They've got to play, really. You've got to go for it. Harvey Rudd, thoughts? That's what we've done, mate, and I still don't understand the question, my friend. Andrew King, morning, James. I'm on a bench boost. Is worth taking out Antonio for Ings for a -4. But if you're on a bench boost, I'd be thinking more about Richarlison, maybe. Well, I don't like that, mate. No, I would leave it. Oh, man, I can't be liking that. It's a bench boost, Andrew. MD, listen, mate, do yourself a favour. Delete your question that you put in there again, or you won't be back in this chat next week, mate. So recognise what I'm saying and delete your question, mate. Victor says, start Son or Souček. Benching dilemmas. DM19, hi James. Why would you bench Souček over Son with the fixtures? Quite simple. Because if Tottenham do well again, a little bit like what I said in the Fury last week of why I would make Son still the best captaincy option if you had. If Tottenham do well, it's going to be Son. Most weeks you'll hear me say Kane over Son at captaincy. If someone had a gun to my head and said Captain Kane or Son this week, I'd say Son. I would never leave Harry Kane out, mind. But it's just the potential of what could be. And that's why That's why. I'm predicting West Ham Sheffield United to be low scoring as well, right? I'm predicting 1-0. So, not a lot in it. If you're asking my honest prediction, what do I think for this week? I'm saying Souček 3 points, Son for 2. Imagine if Tottenham went to City and put on a brilliant counter-attacking display and won 3-1. Who's getting the returns? That's the point. And also factor in the ownership as well. So, no, I would not be leaving Son out, generally speaking. I would only be leaving Son out if I had 3 really good forwards this week. That would be my take on that. Gerald says, we've had that one. Mina says, hello James, massive effort with this podcast of yours. BOF, Saka at home to Leeds. Is his bench. Werner at home to Newcastle. I mean, if you've got Werner, you're playing him, aren't you? Dan Morris, start Rafinha or Antonio. It's on the bench in dilemmas, Dan. Stewie Bryan, hey James, Son will score a brace. Oh, well, I would love that, my friend. Zaris says, should I play Bamford, Antonio or Souček? It's bench in dilemmas again. Zaris, my friend, I love you. You know how this works. You know how this works. Thank you, Chris Bradley. Albus89, I will have to drop both DCL and Antonio within the next 3 weeks in order to bring Kane in for 26. Wiggle room in terms of price is tight. Who to drop first for Watkins, DCL or Antonio? So Antonio to Watkins next week is potentially a good idea. What do West Ham have next week? Tottenham at home. Actually, that's a bad idea. I can't answer that yet because it's very dependent on the fixtures. Because if one of Villa or Everton don't double in 26, then that's going to make your decisions very easy, isn't it? I wouldn't be doing either move now. FPL Finding Glory, first time catching you, love. Brilliant chip strategy video yesterday. Thank you very much for that. Kamen Petkoff. I got 10 minutes to deadline, by the way, guys. Kamen Petkoff, love the dilemma panel. Thank you very much, Cameron. I wish more people would actually take notice of it. Literally sold my Rafinha and Cresswell conundrum. Do you think already starting Bamford makes difference in the thought process? Nah, not at all. Not at all. Go for it. Jans Petza. Hi, mate. What would you do? Justin to me or Antonio to Watkins? Thanks. Yesterday's podcast was superb. I would Justin to me. Mercer 77, Cavani and Barnes for -4 for Brewster and DCL. I can't argue that other than if you've only got 2 Manchester City players for whatever reason, obviously do that over Harvey Barnes. Harvey Rudd, that's the third time I've seen your question, and I still don't understand what the ST means, mate, so I'm really sorry. Thoughts on best ST? Is it best striker to bring in on a wild card? I've got Cavani at the moment. It must be striker, mustn't it? Sorry, I'm a bit slow in the head. Best striker to bring on wild card, I've got Cavani at the moment. I am going to say to you, Ollie Watkins. Ahmed Musa, didn't you play for Leicester? Hi James, Dallas or KWP for this week? KWP. Azzy, all hypothetical now, but do you think James Dustin did enough for an England call-up prior to injury in your opinion? The answer to that is yes, Azzy. Certainly would have deserved to have a squad look. Pup said, who would you start, Saka or Harrison? I would probably go Saka this week. I think Arsenal win 2-1 tomorrow. TJ Dara, I do have a question actually. Would you ever do a transfer that logically is a good decision but somehow feels wrong? I think we've all done that, haven't we? Moody, hey James, best of luck this week. Captain Cancelo. I've explained my reasons not to do that, in my opinion. Listen, if you believe it, it's fine. Adnan says, hi James, start Watkins, Souček or Son. Benching dilemma, my friend. Antonino, I've decided to go Pope captain and YOLO. Well, as YOLO as it gets, captain and goalkeeper. Badman, another pound on your predictions flop last week. Hook you up if they ever come in. They'll never come in, mate. I'll never get all of them. Dorji says, Aina or Robinson? Robinson, my friend, because Aina was left out last week. For them stay over back four. Every chance Kenny Tete will get favouritism in the right back position. Mina says, great podcast. Hope Suj is better now. He is feeling better, Suj. Who would you bench out? Saka at home to Leeds, Werner at home to Newcastle, Antonio at home to Sheffield United. It's cheers from Australia, mate. Cheers, mate. I would bench Saka. Quabena says, hi James, should I start Robertson or Diaz? You ain't leaving Diaz out, mate. He'll play twice. We think he should be okay. The only reason I got Stone's vice over Diaz is because of the small doubt. Let's be honest. It really doesn't matter who my vice captain is unless Ilkay Gundogan's woken up with COVID. Joey B93G, morning mate, would you do Antonio for Cavani as a 1 week punt or keep Antonio and waste the transfer? I wouldn't waste the transfer. There must be something. Better second goalkeeper, there must be something. Pete Haley, hi James, do need to get a Souček. Do you think Jorginho is a good replacement as I need the money, and do you think White is a good cheap option? Well, it sounds like you're on different strategies there, mate, because White's not good for 26, but Jorginho might be. If you got one free transfer, Pete, that's definitely a roll. You don't really want to be moving Souček this week. He's after if you do. And listen, Souček's still Souček. But I'm a little confused because the thought of Jorginho makes me think you're going towards 26. But then Ben White makes me think like you're not, Pete. So you need to know in your mind what you're doing strategy-wise. Marcus Sander, hi, good morning. Hope you're well. I am, thank you. Love the show. Cheers. I have 2 free transfers and 3 City, 1 Burnley. Which striker transfer? I've got Bamford, DCL, Antonio. I've got those 3 and I'm rolling a transfer. I would recommend the same. Jacob17, hi mate, love the stream and graphics as always. Can you convince me out of captain Cancelo over Foden? I might have. I might have. Hookie5, hi James, great show. Cheers. Just over 5 minutes to deadline, guys. Finn Moody, who should I buy? Bamford or Ings? Oh, God. Got to be Ings because of the potential with the 26, I think. Although Bamford, he's going to be so highly captained in next week, I think. Victor Wangi, start 2 between these. Victor, check the benching dilemma graphic. Shahid, hi James, thoughts on Pope's captain? I have already done that during the stream. Taz, can everyone update James on their cut run, please? Can everyone not? Miles Impet, morning James, what a fantastic pod yesterday, cheers. Start Watkins or Bamford, already starting Grealish. Watkins, I'd go to pay out, honestly. FPL Cricketer, thank you for being a spanner, mate. Hey, mate, DCL currently second bench. Move to Bamford and bench Dawson this week for free or wait. Wait, my friend. Lincoln begs, need to start 2 of Souček, Soufal, Son and Watkins. Definitely Watkins to play. The other 2 you can find your answer for who else from the bench in dilemmas. But it'll be play Son in my opinion. Animal says triple captain Nick Pope, YOLO, good luck. Stian Bosdale, you said Lingard over Robbo. I'm seeing unicorns fly by my window. Yeah, and there's pigs flying outside of mine. Consider that a 1 weeker. Peter G, morning James, have you revealed your Sky team? Good luck mate. Yes, I have to my patrons. Chris Bradley, thank you mate. Tom Goodcliffe, start Grealish versus Brighton or Souček versus Sheffield United. I'll go Grealish, I think. I'd still. FPL Ibro, hey James, good luck this game week. Thoughts on playing Antonio over Wan-Bissaka? Yes, I would. Stian Bosdale, the bouncers in here are doing a bang-up job, aren't they, Joss? Rob Jones, 450 watching, hit the like button, takes 1 second. Very true that, actually. Because I don't do all that. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button thing. I just assume if you like the content, people will. But apparently you're meant to say that sort of shit. So if you are enjoying the stream, hit the button, hit the subscribe button, all that stuff. And when this stream's finished, if you didn't listen to yesterday's Chip Strategy podcast, I recommend that more than anything. Ray Qureshi, non-FPL James. Why does Mourinho feel the need to always scapegoat a player? Currently Bale, if it's to cover his deficiencies in results and general decline as a manager. Wanted your thoughts? Because he's a see you next Tuesday, mate. Shivan Kumar, and if you don't know what see you next Tuesday is, Google it. Shivan Kumar, and don't put it in the chat, please, because you will get banned, honestly. Shivan Kumar, has Adams lost his place? I don't think so, Shivan. But you need information from today. I know Hassan Hootle spoke yesterday about the idea of Redmond playing through the middle. Possibly a little bit of motivation for Che Adams. Could be what I'm thinking there, actually. Izat Farhan, hi James, which 2 to bench between Son, Dallas and Saka this week? I'm going to still say play Son, mate. Stephen L. James, who's your pick on a differential captain? Raheem Sterling. If you don't want that and you want to go super fucking punty, Edison Cavani, I can't recommend it. Brett M. Hi James, hope you're well on wildcard in next game week. So do you think Brewster to Richarlison or Cavani in for a 1 week punt is worth a -4? This would mean first sub Souček. Yeah, in which case Richarlison, if he blanks twice, is going to make up the 4 points for you of the hit. So Richarlison. Vikram says sell Souček or Caballero for Gundogan. It's not as straightforward as it looks because you'd say, oh yeah, Caballero for the double, but you probably don't want Caballero after this game week. So actually, genuinely, I'm still going to say Sel Caballero. Stewie Bryan, best match to watch this week, Arsenal versus Leeds. I look forward to Brighton Villa tonight. It won't be Manchester City versus Tottenham, I'm pretty sure of that. But yes, from the weekend games, probably Arsenal versus Leeds. I think it's a fair shout. Shane Byrne bringing in Sterling and will captain take out Salah. Or I have to say, it doesn't feel like a great fixture list this weekend in terms of watching games, to be honest. Shane Byrne bringing in Sterling and will captain take out Salah or Son. I would take out Salah, but it depends on your strategy. Josh Shaw, Son to Rashford for a hit for the next 2. Wildcard in 26. Reasonable move that, Josh. Owen Walsh, morning James. Hat tip to yourself and Surge. Great stream yesterday, thank you. Who gets most points? Pope in 24 versus Bamford in 25. I'm going to say Pope now. Even though I think Bamford is probably the best captaincy shout next week. You have to if you're thinking about a triple captain now, you have to factor in the ownership thing as well. So, I mean, there's a good chance next week. I think Bamford's captaincy could be monstrous next week. I really, really do. And you should factor that potentially into your thoughts as well. Ben AU, hey James, quick question. What do you think of Ashley Barnes captain? It's tempting me. If you're tempted, then amazing. Good luck to you. Nah, man. Shit on a stick. David Martinez, hi James. Who would you pick if you could only start one from Trent, Rafinha, Soufal? I would go Rafinha. Honestly, I would go Rafinha. Chris Bradley, thank you very much for the work you're doing in there, mate, and FPL Cricketer. AVB81, should I bench with Werner and Antonio? Play the bastards. Kenneth Faz, I see you've played Antonio over Soufal. I have the same dilemma, but looks like you think Antonio will score over them, keeping a clean sheet. Look, I predicted 1-0, so on that basis I should probably play Soufal, but it's the potential that could be more, right? Joe Knight, hi James, could I get a shout out for my Twitter, FPL Rugby? Just join the community. Shout out FPL Rugby! Guys, I make it on my time coming up to 11 o'clock 40 seconds or so. So make sure you got those teams locked in. Tell it, Sayan, what about Jesus captain? Just make sure you got some alcohol in the house. Sheila says, why McCarthy ahead of Martinez on the benching dilemma? Have a look at my predictions on the screen, left hand side. That'll give you a clue for the reasoning. Sheila, once is enough for the question, mate. FPL Warrior, start Bamford or Lookman? That's not straightforward at all. That's a difficult call. I would pick Lookman because of the potential, but I think there's every chance that Bamford will outscore him. That's a good question, FPL Warrior. Not an easy one at all. Emily says, hi, this is random, but my boyfriend's cat just needs to be put down tonight and he is upset, but he's listening to a stream now. Can you please say hi to Eric Forden for me, James? No probs. Eric, hope you're well, mate. Sorry about the loss. Keep your chin up. Have a good weekend. Be nice to Emily. She's trying to help. And I make it gone 11 o'clock now, guys. So for those who I've not reached on questions, apologies. Thank you very much for your questions. Good luck for the game week. I hope the stream has been helpful and still helps you find answers. Thanks obviously to FPL Captain on the questions and my spanners in the chat. FPL Cricketer, Chris Bradley, two boys in there. I see, looks like you've been on your own. You're doing a sterling job. Pirlo's Pen, Joe Finley Badder, thanks as well. If any of the other spanners have been in, thanks very much for your help in getting rid of the time wasters. As Joe Finley Badder says, deadline motherfuckers. If anybody has any non-FPL questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. I'll hang around now for 15 minutes or so. If you just came for the FPL, you are free to leave. Please subscribe and hit the like button and all that jazz on the way out. If you want something to do in the hour and a half leading up to Leicester and Liverpool, I highly recommend yesterday's Trip Strategy podcast, which obviously also on YouTube as well. It's an hour and 17 minutes, I think. So it might even be an hour and 7. It's just over an hour. That will fill your time slot between Leicester and Liverpool. If you don't know what you're doing on Trip Strategy, genuinely, you really should watch it. Okay, cool. Mark says, tempted by Mount, worth a -4. You've missed the deadline, my friend. Ray Karashi, okay, I think now you can answer my question better, Jay. Lol, see you next Tuesday. What question? As if I can remember what the question was, mate. I haven't got a clue. Jed Reynolds, hi James, doing anything with a better half for Valentine's Day? We've got an eat-in meal sorted, but we're not going to be doing anything. Generally, yes, it should be a pretty romantic Valentine's Day, I imagine, because we love each other so much. So we do have a full schedule planned, and that probably begins with Southampton against Wolves at 12 o'clock, West Brom Man United at 2 o'clock, Arsenal v Leeds at 4:30, and Everton versus Fulham after that. She hates me. J Lodge, if you could make 3 realistic signings for Spurs, who would they be? I'm going to upset some people here. I'd try and rip quite a bit of Leicester City's team out if they don't finish in the top 4. So Maddison and Diddy, Barnes, Pereira, Fofana, they'd all be of interest. Villa, a target as well. Can I just spend 100 million on Jack Grealish? Not that he'd come to us. That's not a realistic signing. And I don't know if the Leicester guys are either. Excuse me. In terms of Premier League signings, Romeo short term. Excuse me, and it would only be for a year or two. You know I like. Danny Ings, I think there's going to be some interest in. We could do worse than someone like Nathan Redmond. It's about time we bought from our feeder club. So if Chelsea no longer have an interest in Declan Rice, we should be asking some questions. That'll piss some people off. Centre backs is loads. Lewis Dunk, get me Lewis Dunk. Looks better every time I see him. Been a fan for a long time, and I genuinely I know Gundogan deservedly won Player of the Month last month. I think after Gundogan, I'd have said Lewis Dunk for Player of the Month. Absolutely brilliant recently. Right, where were we in the questions? DC, Sky question. Vestergaard, yes or no? Yes. And Rowan, is Dyer going to continue to get rotated? I think he might play today. I think he possibly plays with Sanchez. Because Alderweireld played extra time in the week, it's possibly going to be tough on him. I think Mourinho has had enough of the giving away penalties. I think the Werner penalty was probably the last straw on Mourinho's thoughts with Eric Dyer. And what he likes to do is when people make mistakes, he likes to punish them for a bit. And then suddenly he throws them back in. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dyer's back in. But I can't answer the question. If you're asking that question because you're thinking of buying from an FPL question, I've only got one thing to say. Put the beer down. One person asked me last night about who would get most minutes between Dyer and Davis. And it was a serious question. It wasn't the usual Dyer or Davis, James. It was, I'm being serious. And I told that person that I would actually block them permanently if they bought either Dyer or Davis this week. Cyril, sorry if I mispronounced that, mate. I'm going to Cyril. How do you think Spurs will line up against City? Strategy. I did speak about that a little bit. I think it's possibly 4-4-1-1 to compensate against, obviously, City's kind of, it's become a 4-1-4-1 now. So, Loris in goal, Doherty, Davis, the fullbacks. If Aurier can play, Aurier will play, but he's doubtful. I think Sanchez plays because of pace, and I think probably Dyer alongside him. Sissoko and Højbjerg essentially. I've got a feeling Ndombele's not going to be fit, and therefore I think we're looking at Lamela and Bergwijn playing as defensive wide players, sort of what you'd more customary would have seen with sort of Marcus Rashford playing left back in the past. They'll be very deep. And I think Kane at 10, and I think Son might play centre forward. That's what I think might happen. But obviously that's rotatable in terms of system. You could pick the same team, and if Mourinho doesn't like that once he's seen City's team, then you can change that back, can't you, to Kane as the focal point, Son left, Bergwijn right, Lamela in the hole, Lamela right, Bergwijn in the hole. You could play it as a flat 4-4-2.
But I want Ndombele to play, and I want Ndombele to play as one of the central midfielders. I don't mind that as a 4-4-1-1 for this particular fixture if Ndombele's one of the two. And then if the wide players are going to come really in defensive to kind of make that a back six, then you don't need to worry about Ndombele so much in the pockets. And then get the best out of him when we've got the ball, so we can at least try and retain it. Jacob17, Lukaku or Ibra in a fight? Lukaku, all day long. Scott Fitzgerald, what centre-backs will Mourinho play today? Okay, just answered. What would I choose if I was the manager? I would play today Dyer and Rodon, probably. Miles Impet, James, do you think that Hassan Hill would be a good coach for Spurs? Not a Spurs fan, but would love to see that. Miles, I think you'd be a good coach for Spurs. Yes, I do. There's stuff defensively though. I know I criticise Mourinho for being defensive. There's stuff in Hasenhüttl's work defensively that I don't like, and that's why he wouldn't be top of my list for replacements. But I do generally enjoy watching them. Neil Zappels, hi James, do you sometimes bet against your triple captain choice to ease the pain? No, mate. No. I've bet against Tottenham before in games in the past because it had eased the pain when I was a bit younger, and also because I've been absolutely certain that they'd lose. Ray Koreshi, Mourinho scapegoat, mate. Oh, like on Bale and that. Just shut your fucking mouth. Not you, Ray. Him. Just shut your mouth. Listen, he might think he's being clever, trying to start a war with Gareth Bale in terms of explaining to the fans why he's not playing. Listen, in spite of everything with Gareth Bale this season, fans are still going to be on Gareth Bale's side. It's making a mistake if that's what he's trying to do. Lauren Harris, European football is back this week. Any bold predictions for teams to get knocked out? Tottenham? No, I don't think we will. All I would say is I would be very surprised if Barcelona beat PSG. To be honest with you, Lauren, I couldn't tell you half the fixtures. Liverpool against Leipzig are in danger, possibly. And I know that's your team, Lauren. I would expect Liverpool to go through, but I think you're in danger there. City should be fine. Chelsea have a difficult game anyway, and they're going to find that difficult against Atletico. You'd probably make Atletico slight favourites. Shifo says, blondes, brunettes or redheads? Mate, I got a thing for redheads. If you listened to Kittens and Bananas a couple of weeks ago, you should have known that. Cass T, hello from Leeds. Love the pod, James. Best defender under 4.7. I don't know what price Dallas is. I've just bought Conser at 4.6, mate. So I'm going to say to that. FPL Cricketer, read over the week that Emi Martinez is eligible for England. What are your thoughts on poaching players like this? He walks into our first 11 shortly. Yes, he does. But he'll get called up by Argentina, mate. So it won't matter. Mark Ainsworth, great trip strategy video yesterday. Really helpful. And live stream today. Thanks. Good luck, James. Thank you, Mark. Eulogil says, do you think Holding and Saka make the Euro squad? Holding, I'd be extremely surprised. Saka's got a great chance, particularly because of his versatility. Thanks, Jamie. I don't know what I said, but I appreciate laughing emojis anyway. Flop to Joe. Hey, James, great stream and pod. See you're rocketing up the rankings on Gaffer. You starting to think you can win it? Congrats on a great game week. No, I've rocketed. I covered this on the Patreon stream we did on Wednesday. That I finally kind of sat down and came up with a strategy plan for it. The end of that strategy plan has just come up. But then I'm already in the thinking. I didn't own any Swansea players. They've had a game postponed. If that remains postponed this game week, which I assume it will because it's midweek fixtures, I'm probably using the unused transfer to now get 2 Swansea players back in. So, can I win it? No chance. No chance. I genuinely haven't thought that at all. I'm not even first in the Patreon mini league at the moment. Angus McPhail's absolutely flying. I think he's maybe second or third overall. JK says, do you see Bale sticking around for the loan out? Seems to be a bit slippy and he's not the player he was, but whether Mourinho willing to play Bale in a different role. Well, Bale clearly is not going to play much. I think we know now there was an opportunity for like the West Brom game and stuff like that. Yeah. The man still has ability. You know, not bringing him on against Chelsea, man. You use 2 subs and you need a goal. It's like he does things on purpose, this Mourinho, to send messages, not bringing him on late in the game against Sheffield United. Come on, the game's won. Put him on the pitch. How are you ever going to get him up to speed? Bale's possibly not helping himself, but we're not at the training ground and don't know the situation. I'm pretty sure, though, that if Gareth Bale's saying that he's fit and Mourinho's saying he's not, there's a chance that neither are particularly lying. Mourinho possibly thinks that he's not fit enough. It's an interesting one. But I don't really want to talk about it either. There's one for Tottenham on Patreon on Tuesday. I'll do the full detail one, I think. Perles Pen, what do you think about Ricardo Pereira on 25 wildcard? I think it's reasonable, particularly if you're going to free hit 29. It's very reasonable. Good fixtures. 26 doubles, nice. 27, 28 is good. Pepsi, morning James, would you have Salah in Sky? I'm not going to advise anybody not to go for Mohamed Salah in Sky because he's going to be so highly owned. But he's not in my team, mate. JMA 543. Hi James, just wanted to say thank you for everything you do for the community. I love Suj and his banter. But have you ever considered going solo? Would you in the future? Nah. I did solo on this, wasn't I? So you remember now I'm now doing this full time, and Suj runs multiple businesses full time, so I have more time than Suj. Nah, but Suj is my partner in crime. Until someone offers me a stupid amount of money and says, "Here, James, there's 50 grand a year, come and do this," or "There's 100 grand a year, come and do this." So, no, I would rather grow the business and earn that money with Suj if possible. Matthew Shaw, what's your go-to Saturday morning breakfast, mate? Got me a cup of bacon and egg muffins on the go. Can never be asked for cooking a full English. Sausage is preferential, then bacon. I tend to be a sausage guy on a Saturday. Sausage sandwich. Toasted. Me like. That might be coming up very shortly, actually. Babes, give me a sausage sandwich, please. She shouted no. I'm joking. Matthew Shaw, that's what we just did. Jed Reynolds, best goal you've seen live. Gascoigne against Arsenal in 91. Fuck it. Akshay says Captain Sterling. Amazing, mate. And Meninda says, what options would you recommend for people with over 20 transfers to attack in Sky that managers with lower transfers won't be able to do? 8 Manchester City players. Jovial says Sky, keep Rudiger and then transfer in cash. It's impossible. The problem with the Villa defensive is they just don't hit the tiering, mate. Just don't hit it at all. So if you wanted a Villa defensive option, I'd rather be looking at Martinez and cheaper. So I'm not keen on the Villa defensive guys. If I was going for one of them, I'd probably go Consa because it's even cheaper. Ray Qureshi, cheers for the answer. More likes, please. 256 watching. Thanks, Ray. FPL Kaka, who's your favourite European football team outside of England? I don't have one as such, but we've always had links for Barcelona. So, as in my team, going all the way back to when I first went as a kid with Archibald had been at Barcelona, was the stories I'd heard. Obviously Lineker and Naeem and Venables all came to Tottenham from Barcelona. Then there were other players who obviously played for both clubs as well. So there's from that point of view, there's always been a soft spot for Barcelona, and I used to watch them probably nearly every week in the noughties actually, and then whenever possible in the teens. So Barcelona, I have a soft spot for. FPL Badger, thanks for all your great content. Thank you, my man. Shifo, top 4 predictions. I will say Manchester City. I still think Liverpool second, even though I think they'll probably get beat today. Manchester United, and I think Leicester. I don't think we've got any information yet on Chelsea to know anything. Jacob 17, who gets the right back spot for England? So many to choose from. TAA, Wan-Bissaka, Walker, Justin, James, Trippier, etc. Depends on system. If it's a back three, it's got to be Reece James in my opinion, although there's a chance it will be Kieran Trippier. If it's a back four, it's a closer decision between Trippier and TAA, in my opinion. There is certain opposition where playing Wan-Bissaka would be a very, very good idea. But yeah, I mean, Justin obviously is now unavailable for England. I mean, there's a few of them names are not going to be in the squad. Although I think Wan-Bissaka could play right-sided centre-half, similarly to how Kyle Walker has. I think that's a possibility. Chris Bradley, and on top of the above question, your current back four and goalkeeper for England. So if it's a back four, I would go Henderson. I think at the moment Reece James, even though he's not in the Chelsea team, sounds a little bit weird. Stones, Maguire, and also Chilwell, even though he's not in the Chelsea team. Generally, that's the back four. And if it's still to be a back five, I want to see Lewis Dunk get a chance in between Maguire and Stones. I want to see that as a possibility. Stian says, are you doing a pod on the England national team for the mythical Euros? Listen, there's going to be plenty of that in the lead up to the Euros, I should imagine, mate. Jose Vargas, do you think PL players and fans are ready for a female referee? Yes. Yes. We've Sian Ellis-Massey's been doing it for a long time on the side now, and I know she made the mistake in the West Brom City game, but she generally doesn't. She's the best assistant referee. So if a referee's good enough, yeah, I think the Premier League is, generally speaking. We have to be. We've got to get past all this, is the Premier League ready for this kind of thing? It's the same like we did the homophobia pod. I mean, I really don't want to go down a rabbit hole of racism in football at the moment and online trolling and what that nuts and disastrous. These people just need fucking off instantly. As I've said several times, I'll put my ID into social media because I've got nothing to be worried about, and that'll kill the online hate. But yes, I think in terms of reference to a female referee, yeah, no problems. If someone's good enough, it doesn't matter. Ahmet says, "G'day James McNeil for Double Game Week 26 and your thoughts." I'm not keen, mate. It just smells like 2-2-2-2-2 to me. Chris Bradley, can't believe I've just had to time out someone now. Are they still asking FPL questions, are they? Lee Jackson, great work this week, sir. Thanks, Lee. I'm not going to lie, I am shattered this week. I got excited because I was like, yeah, there's no Premier League fixtures midweek. I'll have more time. Fucking hell. Yesterday, I started work at 8:30 in the morning and I finished finalising my Sky third team at 1:30. And I stopped for a bit of dinner and I stopped to play with Harry for half hour in the afternoon and again for half hour after I did the Zoom call with patrons at 6 o'clock. Absolutely full on, but enjoyed it. But nice to have a little weekend break now. Jake Cook, what are people who are wildcarding before 29 planning on doing after 29 if they want a full squad for the blank game week? I'm not sure I understand your question now. So wildcarding before 29. So I mean, if you're wildcarding 25 or 26, you're going quite a few Villa and Tottenham, aren't you? And in terms of afterwards, they've got good fixtures in 30. So have Leeds. And then slowly you come off them, don't you? Tottenham, every chance has got a double in 32. So then the priority from 31 will be to move Aston Villa. Have a quick look at Leeds fixtures from 31 onwards. Bear with me a second. Because this is one of the ones I haven't memorised. Leeds have then City and Liverpool, as do obviously Villa. But Leeds assets, bar probably Bamford, are cheap enough that you can bench, right? You can be benching Dallas. You can bench Rafinha if you want to and all that. Same might apply to Villa. Bench Martinez. You bench a Consa or a Target. So, I mean, look, personally, I'm going to have that wild card myself to get away from it. But yeah, I just think you slowly move away. Pepsi says, are you still having 7 Man City in Sky? Yes. And the same 7 that I said on Tuesday's podcast. FPL Hitman, morning James, 6 AM here, just woke up. Is the deadline gone? Did my team last night. Cheers for everything. Good luck. It has, my friend. TJ Dara, surely Maguire isn't good enough for England, isn't good enough for his club, let alone for a national side. It's fair enough. Henry Jones, Reece James, most dribbled past player in the Prem. You sure he'd be your right back? Yep. TJ Dara, I'd put Mark Guay in ahead of Maguire and he plays division below. Your man who plays for Swansea. Yeah, good potential he is, actually. Stian Bosdale, I'd love having a mic up the ref. Excuse me. Mike Dean saying sorry all the time could be a laugh. Someone screen grabbed that. Noise Brennan, favourite takeaway. I'm a kebab man. I'm not going to fucking lie. Chinese, pizza, fish and chips, they're all on the menu. Uber Eats, fucking email me about 3 times a day at the moment, and now I'm a fat bastard. Christopher Nesvik says, who do you think is the best Norwegian Premier League player of all time? Erling Haaland. I know he's not here yet, but he probably will be. Best Norwegian of all time. Good question. I like that. It's a good question. A few to consider. I think mainly players from the 90s era. I really liked John Carew, but I'm not sure if John Carew's the best shout. I'm thinking Lars Bohinian, Morten Gamps Pedersen. Henning Berger's got to be a shout, hasn't he? I think, possibly. So there's a few names for you. Martin Boyle, much for rugby fan, James reckon we'll lose after that complete shit show versus Scotland. No, I only watched the egg chasing when the World Cup's on, mate. Jason Brunnin, who's winning the championship? Norwich or Swansea or Brentford, one of those 3. I feel like Brentford might have the momentum at the moment. Yogish says, you planning to bring in Kane anytime soon? Yes, the plan is game week 26. Oh, Ben O'Connor saying Solskjaer, surely. See, that's what happens when you get an on-the-spot question. You forget the obvious. Yes, to be honest, it has to be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in fairness. Right, guys, I'll leave it there. Thanks very much for all your contributions. Give the pod a sub and the video a like on your way out if you enjoyed the stream. Much appreciated, guys. And I'd still highly recommend the Chip Strategy pod from yesterday. It's still relevant. It's going to be relevant for the week to come, other than where we mention immediate transfers, because it will still help you in terms of your understanding of strategy. Just remember that obviously it is pre-recorded before game week 24 if you listen to it next week. This week's content is unconfirmed because genuinely, I'm not joking, I haven't even had the time to think about it. But what I can tell you is for patrons from intermediate tier and up, it will be Q&A on Monday, Tottenham on Tuesday, Wednesday I haven't decided, Thursday quiz, Friday game week 25 preview differential show. Monday's People's Poll, I don't know yet, but there's a good chance it could be Southampton focused. Tuesday we'll do the main podcast, so we can take in the Monday night games as well. Wednesday will be Sky. Thursday, I haven't decided yet. Friday, I haven't decided yet. One of them will definitely be my Ask James stream. I haven't decided yet. I forgot what we normally do. Oh, that's a lie. Friday will be Ask James. Thursday will be Clash of the Correspondents with Bradley Parker, Andy Martin, FPL Tactician, talking about Wolves and Leeds. That will be next week's Clash of Correspondents on Thursday. So, because it's a Friday deadline, I will probably do my Ask James stream. I can't do it Thursday night because Tottenham are playing. So I will probably genuinely do it 9 o'clock Friday morning. I would have thought every possibility, and then the deadline stream will be 5:30, I think. But we'll confirm all that. I've also, for the advanced tiers, I've started doing regular daily videos for you as guys. I'm doing them whenever I can as well, on top of the regular team news and game week summary pieces as well. I had a brilliant Zoom call yesterday, and the advanced tiers caught me by surprise, because last time we did one, he had about 5 or 6 people joined in. Was sitting there having a chat at 6 o'clock yesterday. 19 people in the Zoom call. Brilliant. Love it, guys. Thanks for the guys in there who joined in. Really good. Anyway, that's me done for now. Good luck for the game week, guys. Be nice to each other. Speak to many of you probably Monday. Ciao for now.